Lesson 6.2c, the percent equation. These problems are going to look so familiar because we've already done them. We've already done them for sure the last lesson where we did the percent proportion. We did some of them the day that we talked about percentages and we just multiplied. Today, though, it wants us to use a percent equation, and here's some things that I'm going to have you write down so that you know how to write these equations. All right, so write this down. First of all, you're going to write down that is means equals. Okay, is means equal. So where you see the is, you're going to write an equal sign. Where you see of, just like the other day, what does of mean? Times, multiply. Of means multiply. When you see what or find, that means where you're going to put your variable. So let's say n. And the other thing is, if you're given a percentage, you need to change to a decimal. And how many places the other day, how many places did we move that decimal when we changed from a percentage over, Mason? 2 to the left. So 2 places left. 2 places left. So what's going to happen is you're given these problems and you are going to translate them by using these 4 things that I've just written down. You're going to translate them into equations that we will solve. So you're going to do these problems are just like the percent proportion, only today you're not going to use the proportion, you're going to use these equations. Is means where you're going to put the equal sign. Of is where you will put a multiplication sign. If you see what or find, that's where your variable goes. And if they give you a percentage, you write it as a decimal by moving the decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, questions about those 4 things? You might want to have those close at hand when you start doing these until you get the hang of it. All right, let's go look at the examples then that you were supposed, well, the odd ones that you would write at the bottom. So number 1, it says what percent. So I see what. What does it tell us in my little list of 4? What do you put for what? N. What about of? Times. So you can put a dot or a parenthesis. 56, because I see 56. Okay, what about is? Equals 14. Look at that. We've got an equation from that. What percent n of, so we put times, 56 equals 14. So this is n times 56 equals 14. Normally, when we write that n times 56, how does it look? How do we normally write it? 56n. But it's okay. It's n times 56, right? When it's 56n, how do you solve for n?
Divide.
Yeah. So we need to divide both sides by what? 56. We need to divide both sides by 56. And when I take 14 divided by 56, it comes out with 0.25. It comes out with 0.25. Now this question, it wants to know what percent. Well, 0.25, but that's the decimal answer. How do we change that decimal to a percentage? Yeah, we're going to move our decimal back 2 spots, aren't we? We're going to move the decimal back 2 spots. So when we move it back 2 spots, it is 25%. 25% would be our final answer. So if you think about it, it says 25% of 56 is 14. Is there any way we could check and see if we're right?
Yes.
How could we do that?
0.25 times 56.
Exactly right. Didn't we do that earlier in the week? 0.25 times 56. And we could check to see if it's 14. So I think these, you can always check your answer. You can always check your answer. All right, let's look at number 3. It starts off with 80. So that's where I'll begin, 80. What goes in place of is? Equal. Okay, I see 40%. What am I going to write? 0.4 or 0.40. I'm going to go ahead and go 0.40 so people don't know and think that I messed up there. You're moving the decimal 2 places. Of means times, and what number would be?
A.
Oh, did you say A or N? A?
Yeah.
Okay, A. We can do A. 0.40 A. You did say N? I thought it. Well, then let's go with N. Let's just keep them all N. I thought, well, if he changes it to A, we're going to go with N. All right. So how do I solve for N? We need to, it's 0.40 times N. So how do you undo times? So we're going to divide both sides by the number with N. 0.40. Now I need to take 80 divided by 0.40 or 0.4 as Mason said. And I get 200. Now is that 200 or 200%? 200 because isn't there already a percent in the problem? And can't we check this? How can we check this one? Multiply what?
0.40 times 200.
0.40 times 200. See if 40% of 200 really comes out to 80. And it does.
How does it go like that?
What do you mean? 80 divided by 0.4. Okay, so when you do 80 divided by 0.40, if I moved this decimal over 2 spots for 40, I would have to move the decimal 2 spots there, and what would go in those empty waves, Mason? What? 0. So 8,000. So we would have 8,000 divided by 40. What did I tell you the other day about dividing with zeros on top and bottom? Cancel these 2 out. Now it's 800 divided by 4. You see how that would be 200? Okay. Number 5. What percent of 2,000 is 8? It's starting with the word what? What do I write there? Somebody that hasn't answered. Jacob. N. Of means what? Times 2,000. What about is? Equals 8. How am I going to solve that one? It would be 2. You're right. Normally we write 2,000 N, but I'm trying to translate it exactly the way it's written, and since what comes first, that's where I'm putting the N. Okay? He's asking if we can make that 2,000 N, and sure, we could do that. Isn't N times 2,000 and 2,000 N the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I solve that problem? Divide both sides, whoa, by 2,000. Divide both sides by 2,000. So 8 divided by 2,000, I bet it comes out to a very, very small number. What do you think? So 0.004. Now, it's asking what percent. It's asking what percent. How do I change that to a percentage? Yes, 2 places to the right. So what percent will this be? 0.4%. 0.4%. All right, one more. Number 7. 85 is, where do we put for is? Jacob, equal. And then it says what percent? Allison, what do I put for what? What was my notes at the top when I see what? Okay, what goes in place of what? Macy, what goes in place of what? N. And then what does of stand for? Caden Wisman, what does of stand for? Times 170. So how am I going to solve 85 equals n times 170? What are we thinking? Andrew?
Divide by 85.
Yeah, divide both sides by 170. So 85 divided by 170 is 0.5. What percent would that be? What am I going to do? Move the decimal how many places? 2 places to the right. There's one empty wave there. 50%. Again, you can always go back and check your answers. Are there any questions?